weekend in both Manitoba and Saskatchewan. Verdun got 140 millimeters of it.
Well, we didn't think we'd ever get this high because we've never seen it.
View from space, churning off the Carolinas. 4th of July celebrations canceled in so many cities and towns up and down the coast. And look at this, the eye of the storm as seen from above, a monster of a storm with very bad timing. And there's something else. The team at NOAA reminding us at least 3 storms, 1996, 2002, and now 2014, all named Arthur, all taking aim at North Carolina.
Oh! Oh!
Well, there's not even any clouds in the sky. I'm not.
Of Lake Winnipeg rolled up over Patricia Beach, leaving hundreds of dead birds behind as the water receded.
All these birds were all over the beach. We probably at least a couple hundred of them.
A collapse in the middle of the night. A ground-level patio swallowed up behind a 4-story apartment building and a coach house.
Big. I mean, you see straight down, and it looks like an earthquake.
The country has been hit by abnormally abundant rain. It soaked Venice, and here in Milan an underpass was flooded, and the deluge caused a huge hole to appear in the city centre.
Oh, there is.
I know, on the ground here in Germany.
Who turned on the tornado switch? We should be tracking tropical storms, hurricanes, but in recent days, recent weeks, an upswing, an uptick in tornadoes.
Estimated to be about 25 feet deep and 100 feet wide.
Typhoon Neogari is being called the region's most powerful storm in decades.
Shots taken from the International Space Station show just how big it is.
600,000 people now under voluntary evacuation advisories. 100,000 people are now without power.
Landslides swept through mountains in central Japan, killing a 12-year-old boy and injuring 3 other members of his family.
Tornado with wind speeds at more than 100 miles an hour came ripping through this rural neighborhood of Smithfield. 4 people were killed.
I've always been a firm believer in the good Lord, but then you wonder why these things happen.
To see this damage and walking around today, I mean, I would think I was in Oklahoma or Kansas, not upstate New York.
Violent storms bearing down on the Northeast again tonight. This after pounding upstate New York with blinding rain and deadly violent winds.
That is the sound and fury of the storm that killed 5, including a young boy dropped off by his family at summer camp.
Fish by the thousands washing up on the south and west shores. Beachgoers we talked to say they've never seen such a phenomenon.
It's stinky and scary because fish are supposed to be in the ocean, not on the sand.
Reports this morning of even more dead fish washing up on Oahu shores.
Usually these type of fish are in deeper waters, but it seems like that they're being caught up in more shallow waters.
Holy crap. At the moment this is hell in South Australia, so imagine what Mount Brian's going to be like. I am shivering. Let's have a look. You can see my shirt. I am covered in ice.
It has been confirmed this morning that it was a meteor. There was some initial speculation that it could have been a piece of space junk breaking up in the atmosphere.
Now word of a weather curveball, a cool blast headed our way in the middle of July.
Highs in the 50s and 60s, overnight lows for parts of Minnesota and Michigan in the 30s.
Earth's magnetic field is rapidly weakening, with the biggest decline in strength occurring over the western hemisphere.
Very latest solar image, virtually spotless. This continues a trend for a very weak solar cycle, very unimpressive.
Emergency warnings in northern Bulgaria have been extended to several new areas after a violent storm caused widespread flooding and damage. Hailstorms and torrential rain were described as unprecedented. At Lovech, the water level reached 1.5 meters.
Tonight, it's the country's heartland, bracing for what we saw on the East Coast. Flooding rains, and in Virginia Beach, winds up to 70 miles an hour. Even a tornado, which lifted Travis Pesco's car off the ground.
There's like a spin cycle, everything in my car just flying around.
If that wasn't enough, a church steeple fell, just missing his car. Then there were the lightning strikes, 165,000 hits yesterday. And some close calls this week for people who thought they were safe. Watch this, outside Denver.
Here comes the hail, I think.
A man standing in his garage with the door open. He suffered a concussion.
I thought I was safe.
In Atlanta, this 7-year-old suffered burns. He and his mother standing in a window when they were slammed backward by a strike. It came inside their house.
And all I could see was my son on the ground and his foot was smoking.
Measuring a magnitude of 4.2, today's earthquake was the biggest recorded in the Channel Islands.
Japan has issued a tsunami warning after a strong 6.8 magnitude quake struck in the Pacific off Fukushima. Is that a fire? No, dude, that's a meteor. It's a meteor, check it out.
That's a meteor, girls.
That was cool.
That was.
Record-breaking start to the day with Brisbane recording its coldest day in more than a century. For 2 other Queensland towns, today's minimum was the coldest since records began.
BC now dealing with heat so extreme, turning Burnett Avenue into a boiler.
We've had probably 100 earthquakes in total today already.
Most of those are hardly felt, but they are getting stronger.
It's truly remarkable. We've never seen anything like this. This is completely unprecedented.
At least 2 destructive tornadoes and possibly 2 more have torn through Perth and the southwest. Homes were ripped apart and trees torn down.
A patchwork of unbridled weather coast to coast. In Oregon, Amanda Yancey racing to get her horses inside when the lightning knocking her father to the ground. Flash flooding from Illinois to New York. Parts of Arizona seeing an inch of monsoon rain in just 8 minutes. In central Ohio, whipping winds up to 70 miles per hour, rolling this RV, its owner still inside. In Oklahoma, hail pounding the roads.
We're in a rain delay.
Rain coming down in buckets in Baltimore.
A barrage of lightning and thunder. Some that even took direct aim at New York City's Empire State Building.
Flash flooding in eastern Idaho. Heavy rain and quarter-sized hail slammed the city of Rexburg Tuesday. Up to 6 feet of water covered city streets.
Your eyes are not playing tricks on you.
Yeah, that's snow. That's the middle of winter on a golf course.
No.
No?
No, today.
This white stuff is today?
Bob Fellner says his 60-acre apple crop is gone.
Like somebody just chewed them up at least 10 hours after it, and I'm still standing in ice and snow.
Raging floodwaters in central China, the ancient town of Fengchuan, which has been battered by severe storms. The 300-year-old town was the site of the Ming Dynasty's southern Great Wall. There are fears this region's unique history could be washed away.
Typhoon Ramasan has killed at least 10 people across the Philippines as it tore through the eastern parts of the country and hit capital Manila, forcing the evacuation of tens of thousands.
Death toll from Super Typhoon Ramasan in China has reached 62. The typhoon has affected over 11 million people.
No, I've never seen it like this before.
Fine pieces of ash have been falling all over the city. Forest fires in northern Alberta, BC, and the Northwest Territories are sending smoke here.
We can actually smell it right now in the studio.
Yeah, it's quite strong, actually.
Into Springs, Colorado. Sirens warn people to race to higher ground. The town sits downhill from where a huge wildfire 2 years ago scorched the earth bare.
Flash flooding came blasting through this area when 4 inches of rain fell in just 6 hours.
Capital suffered its heaviest rainstorm of the year on Wednesday, with some areas of the Chinese capital being battered by hail. This said that the rain accumulated to about 2 meters high in about 20 minutes. In Yanqing County in northwest Beijing, hailstones as large as ping pong balls hit the area.
At least 10 people have died and 19 have been left seriously injured after a landslide hit parts of southern China. 9 vehicles were crushed in the disaster which struck China's Sichuan province on Thursday afternoon.
Susanna Ford Crush says she was struck by lightning. Homes were also hit. The roof of this house in Port Slade struck and set alight, causing damage inside and out.
Thousands and thousands of white croakers washing up here this morning on Manresa Beach in Watsonville.
We've never, ever seen this before.
Days after a series of lightning strikes sparked 4 separate wildfires, they have now merged into one monster inferno. 467 square miles affected, by far the largest wildfire the state has ever seen.
Some 150 homes have already been destroyed.
The rain started falling overnight and creeks turned into rivers.
I lived in Texas my whole life, and that's the first time I've seen that amount of rain in that shorter period of time.
Very scary. Out of nowhere, the earth just went straight up in the air. It exploded up in the air, straight up, and dirt and everything, and then fell down.
Take a look. Chunks of pavement sliced up and sliding into a hole 30 feet deep, 120 feet wide.
That is a big hole, and that wasn't there 2 days ago.
Oh!
Tornado ripped through a campground this morning. It killed at least 2 people and injured 36 on Virginia's eastern shore.
Matmo has claimed 13 lives in China and affected about 2.5 million residents.
The last 3 days have seen intense rainfall in Yantai, averaging 86 millimeters per day.
Citizens have reported thousands of dead or dying reef fish. A large offshore fish kill in northeast Gulf of Mexico.
It's gonna be about 200 yards.
Sweeping through central Connecticut.
It's coming right toward us.
An EF0 connecting for just over a half a mile. Winds up to 85 miles per hour. It was one of more than 250 reports of severe weather, from huge hail in Michigan to the reported tornadoes in Tennessee. Debris hanging from power lines, damaging as many as 30 homes. Across the nation on California's Venice Beach,
it sounded like a sonic boom.
At least 4 bolts of lightning, killing a 20-year-old swimming in the water, injuring 12 others from the boardwalk to the sand.
There was a big flash of light and a boom, and I felt like someone punched me in the back of my head.
The monsoon-fueled storm blowing up quickly, dropping record daily rain on LAX.
I haven't ever seen in LA something that close. It literally knocked me off my chair.
At least 3 lightning strikes jolting Catalina Island, setting off a wildfire, knocking out power, and leaving 1 golfer injured.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
People in central Kentucky now recovering from a powerful storm that barreled through the area, leaving behind injuries, damaged homes, and power outages.
Looks like a war zone to me. I've been in Vietnam and I haven't seen it as bad as this. It's the worst I've ever seen it over in this neighborhood.
That's heading this way, isn't it?
Slicing across Colorado, swirling with dirt. 3 reported tornadoes just outside Denver.
A tornado has been sighted at the airport. Take shelter immediately.
People inside Denver's airport running for cover. Winds shearing off this shop door, rocketing it like shrapnel into a dumpster. In Nevada, water became the enemy. Flash flooding dropping more than 2 inches per hour in spots, filling the streets with debris and black mud from a burn scar.
By the time I reached on top of the hill, that water come off that hill so fast it's carrying boulders.
And just outside Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh my God!
Winds up to 120 miles per hour.
Oh my God, look at those trees.
This, the view outside Revere High School.
They all broke! Look at the trees! They all broke!
Shredding a 2-mile path across the seaside town. Flipping cars, littering streets with chunks of buildings.
It was just unbelievable, like in Massachusetts, this happening.
It is the first tornado ever confirmed in that county.
Sierra Leone has become the new epicenter for the Ebola virus outbreak, which continues to grow. It's the worst outbreak of the disease ever recorded, and it seems uncontrollable. In the Netherlands, heavy rainfall and thunderstorms have disrupted traffic and flooded streets. In some areas, over 15 centimeters of rain fell in less than 24 hours.
This should be the height of summer in western Germany. Instead, heavy storms have brought torrential rain and flooding. Some parts have had as much rain in a single day as they'd have expected for the whole month, 5 times over.
Roads have turned to rivers in Romania as heavy rains continue to batter Europe. 2 people have lost their lives and 300 were evacuated from villages in Romania as the Gilod River rose to alarming levels, sweeping away bridges and dikes. In Croatia, the Zadar Islands have been pummeled with 300 litres of rain per square metre over the past 24 hours. In Belgium, the residents of Ytre in Walloon-Brabant were also hit by flash floods when violent storms struck the region. Floodwaters left cars stacked atop each other and 400 people were evacuated from their homes as a precaution.
At least 10 people have been killed and nearly 200 people are feared buried under a massive landslide that hit a village 120 kilometers from Pune this morning after very heavy rainfall.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Easiest thing I've ever seen. It is a little strange.
Wondering why they saw thousands of dead fish over the weekend near the northern end of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge tunnel.
Tonight, most of California is a tinderbox. 216 wildfires scorched the state just last week. And not just expensive, but historic. Nationwide so far this year, more than 32,000 wildfires have burned. 1.6 million acres charred, most of them in the west.
Historic drought, and the drought continues to deepen. In fact, water levels on Lake Mead, which provides much of the water for the Southwest, at its lowest level since the 1930s, back when it was originally filled.
This month has been too much for parts of the state. It has ripped apart roads and left a train track suspended mid-air in eastern New Mexico.
We've already surpassed the normal rainfall totals for this month, and there are still a couple days to go. Part of Highway 156 east of Santa Rosa was closed yesterday due to flooding. It's ripped apart asphalt and loosened a culvert. Rain totals for this month are already more than normal in the metro, with more than 3 inches and counting.
It wasn't even that long of a rainstorm, and within 5 minutes I looked out and my place was flooded.
It's really a mess up here. This geyser putting out thousands and thousands of gallons of water and flooding south down through the campus, and they're worried about a massive sinkhole developing due to the fact that it's just undermining the roadway there. And you can see that their firefighters are backed off, go way far away from it.
Hundreds of thousands of dead anchovies are floating to the surface of the harbor.
Dead anchovies. You can't avoid the smell, and it's only going to get worse in the next couple of days. This afternoon, the Port of Commission declared the situation an emergency.
Endured a battering with powerful winds sweeping across the state and causing widespread destruction.
Gusts peaked at more than 120 kilometres an hour. Even the Weather Bureau was surprised by the violence of the weather.
It was about 5 weeks ago we had very strong winds in the Melbourne area, late June, and now we've got another one, so that makes it a bit unusual.
Tasmania is being lashed by wild weather. Overnight, tornado-like winds tore across the northwest.
Destruction across the Tehri district after a cloudburst, echoing the devastation of last year's Uttarakhand floods. 3 feared missing and many houses flattened.
哦，爆炸！旁边，先走。哦，有事，見到嘅啦，呢度華師係啊，爆炸有事啊！你講話之後到頭。那位冒火。哦，不要，這邊。冒火，有什麼危險？哎呀，我呢個我得按動程呀。不會啦，先走，不要動程呀，不要停太久。前面就警察局啊，对啊，现在左边快点，左边。哦，给。
This is just insane. This is crazy. The entire road is gone. Just disappeared. Just tragedy. Devastating.